Hey y'all, it's Jen and welcome back to my channel Iffer's Inklings. Today we are here with part 3 of the Essential Bukowski series, and if you are just now stumbling upon this video, go back and watch the announcement video. Everything will be linked in the description box below, the playlist there, and you can start from the beginning and learn a little bit about what this series is all about. As always, I have to make a disclaimer here. Charles Bukowski, while he is my favorite poet, and I think his poetry is very accessible to the general population, the general reader, he can be crude, crass, rude, and vulgar, and that is reflected in his poetry at times. And I don't know what this poem is going to be about, if it would fall into one of those categories. But if that is something that is offensive to you, then you probably should just click out of this series and go find a different poem or a different one of my videos to watch that is not Bukowski related. So let's dive in to the third poem in the Essential Bukowski collection. Alright guys, so this is the third part of our 95-part series, going through the poems listed in Essential Bukowski as selected and edited by Abel DeBridio, and let's dive into this one. It is called Layover. Making love in the sun, in the morning sun, in a hotel room above the alley, where poor men poke for bottles, making love in the sun, making love by a carpet redder than our blood, making love while the boys sell headlines and Cadillacs, making love by a photograph of Paris and an open pack of Chesterfields, making love while other men, poor fools, work. That moment to this, maybe years in the way they measure, but it's only one sentence back in my mind. There are so many days when living stops and pulls up and sits and waits like a train on the rails. I pass the hotel at 8 and at 5. There are cats in the alleys and bottles and bums, and I look up at the window and I think, I no longer know where you are. And I walk on and I wonder where the living goes when it stops. So, in the first set of the first stanza, I guess, of this poem, Bukowski is loving life. He's living, he's loving this woman, he's making love to this woman, and he feels sorry for the people walking, the men in the alleys walking, below, the cats, those poor fools that are having to work, while he is getting to be glorious in this hotel, making love on this nice sunny day. And then he becomes the man in the alleyway, looking up at the window. He's in the alley with the cats. And he is there reflecting on this person that he doesn't even know where she is anymore. But it's obviously somebody very memorable, because he says in there, between that moment of him up there in the best place for him that he thought he could be, making love while all these other poor fools are out there working or collecting bottles in the alleyway, he was up there making love to this woman. To where he is now, it's only been a moment in his mind. It's one line, one sentence. And he's reflecting on that time, what got him from there to where he is now. And he feels like he has stopped living. He was living. Now he was living life high when he was making love in that hotel room while everybody else, all those other poor fools were off working. And now he's the one working 8 to 5. He passes that hotel 8 to 5, 8 to 5, 8 to 5 every day. 8 and 5. He's passing that hotel. So he's not living anymore. He's not dead, but he's not living anymore. And that's the layover. That life is the layover. The adulting is the layover of life. You don't spend all your time lounging around making love, not going to work because you got bills you got to pay. But it's not the life he wants to live. He doesn't considering it living. He's just kind of passing time until he dies. He did his living when he was in that hotel room with that woman, and he thinks about her, and he, now every time he passes that hotel, 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon, to and from work, he thinks about her and wonders, where she is. He's lost track of her. He's lost time. I think it's probably someone that he cared about at one time, but he wasn't really ready to admit it back when he was living. But reflecting back, he knows that at that time there was a lot more to life. He was happier. He was enjoying it. He was fulfilled. He wasn't having to do all that boring adulting stuff that you have to do, that all those other fools were doing. But now he's one of those. He's in the alley looking up at the hotel room in that window where he has all these fond memories of enjoying life and enjoying his woman and enjoying the time and not working. I think we probably all have a time in our life that we look back on where we have that same feeling of a time when we were just living life to its fullest. We were really enjoying it. We probably were doing the working or the going to the school or the adult life as well, but everything was so enjoyable. It seemed so much easier, so much more fun, so much less structured or boring or whatever you want to call it. That time when we were just living life to its fullest. And the times in our lives when we're just in the daily grind of life, it may seem like we're just kind of in that layover period between living and dying, just kind of getting by, existing, not really living, but we're not dead yet either. And that's kind of what he's talking about here. And wonders where the living goes when it stops. Well, where the living goes is just the daily grind of life. We're still living, but we're not living life to its fullest. We're not doing all that fun, enjoyable stuff. Instead of working, we're grinding away until we can get to that point where we get to live life to the fullest again. And sometimes it's with, you've got fond memories of people that don't make it through with you through the daily grind. You leave them back in that fun times, and you lose contact, and you lose that connection, and you kind of miss that because you associate them with that fun time in your life instead of the daily grind, because the daily grind ain't fun. Nobody enjoys that daily grind, but it does kind of feel like a layover between the living and the dying. And you kind of have to figure out how to have little everyday living moments amongst the daily grind that you're on, because that's how you get through life. And because life is just a grind, it really is. It's that 8 to 5, 9 to 5 grind that you just have to deal with. You don't get to lay around making love in the sun in the hotel rooms all the time. Those are far and few between when you're actually having to work and take care of adult things. So let me know in the comments below what you thought about this poem. If you kind of picked up on the same things I did. Did you get that connection between the living the life and the not quite dying but just kind of trucking along, doing not a lot of fun feeling that I picked up on here? What different themes did you pull out of this poem that maybe I missed? Let me know all that in the comments below. And are you in that layover period right now, or are you where you're just kind of grinding life, or are you living life to your fullest like Bukowski was in the beginning of this poem? Let me know that in the comments below. I'm grinding right now. I'm in that layover period, but I'm working real hard to get to my next living life stage. It's coming soon. But right now it's just the grind. It's what we're doing. We're grinding to get to that next point. And so if you've enjoyed this video, you guys know what to do. Give me a thumbs up over there. If you didn't enjoy this video, or you just hate Bukowski or whatever, you can give me a thumbs down. That's cool too. And if you know anybody else that would enjoy this series, please be sure and share it with them. And while you're down there, be sure and hit that big red subscribe button and the little bell notification button next to it. That way you don't miss when I post any installment of this series or just any of my other videos in general. And until next week, when we are on part 4 of this Bukowski series, we'll talk to you later. Bye.